Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Yashodanandana Vijay Janarandana, Yashodanandana Vijay Janarandana, Yamuna Tira Vanakari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. You're on mute, Prabhuji.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful kirtan. Can you hear me now? Okay, wonderful. So we have so many wonderful souls in this wonderful call. Thank you to all the Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, kids for joining. Anita Mataji, Sabrina Mataji, Megha Mataji, and those who joined a little later, Lakshya Prabhu, Mohan Kanti Prabhu, Renu Mataji, Vinita Mataji. Thank you so much for taking out your valuable time to discuss Bhagavad Gita, to read and hear Bhagavad Gita. What could be a better thing in life to do, right? Otherwise, life just passes very fast. And today we will talk a very, very important topic, the art and science of doing work, right? So before that, let's do some prayers and invoke blessings of the Guru Parampara, because we are nothing without the mercy of our Guru Parampara and our disciplic succession So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, you're able to see now, correct? Wonderful. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरू श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णापृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे मुक्तं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माणि एकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा. In the Gita Mahatmya, this wonderful verse comes, Eko Shastram Devaki Putra Gita. Let there be only one scripture, and that is Devaki Putra. Who is Devaki Putra? Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, Lord Shri Krishna. Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. And that there be one God, one Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is again the Supreme Lord, Devaki Putra Eva, Krishna. Eko Mantrastasya Namani Yani. That there be one mantra. Because there are so many scriptures, Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, and this and that. But there is one Mahamantra, the essence of all the mantras, Sarva Shastra Marma, and that is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And what about the activity? Karma. Karmapi ekam tasya devasya seva. And what is that one activity? It is uh, to serve that Supreme Lord, that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I thought to begin with this verse to help us understand the importance of Bhagavad Gita, to help us understand why Bhagavad Gita is so important and crucial in all of our lives. And what is that art and science of doing action, which we will um, talk about in the session today. But before that, anyone remembers what we discussed last time? Anything still in your memory? Still echoing through? Anything from last time you want to share? We discussed the first 8 verses of chapter 3. We started last time. Anyone remembers anything from there? What we talk about? Who would like to share something from the last session? It's hard to recall, right?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I think we said about we have 2 types of duty, but that I think that was for the chapter 2, I believe. But I made a note of that.
Yeah, we summarized chapter 2.
Yeah.
Chapter 2. Yes, Sampada Mataji, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think we discussed about how to serve Krishna with our senses and what is true renunciation.
Yes, what is true renunciation? We discussed that. Yes, Sudhir Prabhu, you want to say something?
Yes, Prabhuji. And we also was talking about Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga and how Karma Yoga works. And I think you also mentioned about Nishkama Karma Yoga. Vaguely remember. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. So this whole chapter is entitled Karma Yoga. In the first 8 or 9 verses, we talk about the Tyaga. You remember the acronym is tree. The first T stands for Tyaga. Arjuna had this misconception about following Bhagavad Gita or following Krishna's order. And he was confused, which many people are confused. We started with this premise that some people think if I get Bhagavad Gita means I have to renounce my family, I have to go to Kurukshetra and I have to be like Arjuna and start fighting with my wife and just kidding. So that's not Bhagavad Gita, right? And rather, some people say I won't touch Bhagavad Gita because I won't have the picture of the Bhagavad Gita in my home. This is all a misconception. So the point is that Bhagavad Gita helps us to understand how we can truly act in this world. What is true renunciation? True renunciation does not mean to go to the forest and just do nothing. We discussed there are many so-called Babas, so-called gurus. They may give up their so-called wives and children, but they will go to Haridwar and they'll smoke BD cigarette there. What is the use of that so-called renunciation? They'll be attached to tea and coffee there, and they will also be attached to inappropriate things there. That is not the renunciation which Krishna is asking us. Krishna is asking us to cultivate that inner spirit. Renunciation is not by the dress, but it is how we address. It is how we conduct ourselves in this world. So with that, we will move on to the next verse, which is, oops, this has to come later, which is text number 9 in chapter number 3. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Very, very important verse. So let's start with this wonderful verse, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text number 9. Yagyarthat karmanonyatra loko yam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Would someone want to read translation? Yes, Shital Mataji. Others can keep their hand raised, I mean the button, and then we'll try to have everyone at least read once.
Hare Krishna. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. This is very, very important verse. That work leads to bondage. Yes or no? How many of you say yes? Work leads to bondage. Most of you say yes. Which is true for 99% of the actions, and that is the standard opinion. That work will lead to bondage. Good work will lead to good bondage, going to upper planets. And bad work will lead to bad reactions, like animal species, going to hellish planets, etc. So now, what is the right thing? What to do? Right? What is the option? We have to be free from this bondage. That's Arjuna's proposal. That's why he was proposing, let's just stop work, correct? Na rahega bas, na bajegi basuri. Like when there is no bamboo, how will you make a flute out of it? And what to speak of playing the flute? That's kind of, kill the problem from the root cause. So it may sound like a good proposition, but we discussed that it is not feasible because everyone has to perform work. So now a very nice, point comes here that if we have to take the cataract out of the eye, we don't pluck out the eye, we take out the cataract out of the eye. Similarly, when we have to take out sometimes, how many of you have got a thorn ever in your life, in your feet or hand or something, right? A sharp object. Most of us have got it at some point, right? What do we use to take it out? We use another sharp object, a needle or a thorn or something to take it out, right? You all agree with that idea? So this is what Krishna is teaching us here. That we have to use karma to get out of the cycle of karma. We have to use activity to get out of the cycle of activity. And what is that special activity? That is yagyartha karmano nyatra. That work which is a sacrifice to Lord Vishnu is no more a cause of bondage. Rather, it will destroy all the karmic bondage from the past karma as well. It's a very important point to understand. So it will remove. Firstly, it will not cause any more bondage. And secondly, it will reduce, it will diminish, it will cut off all the past bondage as well. Very, very important point. So using activity to get free from activity. This is wonderful shloka. And therefore, it is not an easy thing, correct? If we have to get rid of that, let's say, thorn, can anyone who does not know how to take out the thorn, right? You do think anyone can do it? No, we need someone expert to help us, who has some experience, who has done this thing nicely. So therefore, it is an art and it is a science also. It's not just some capricious. Therefore, I put this title inspired from His Holiness Bhakti Samrit Maharaj, the science and art of doing work. Because we don't have to just do work. It's like in management they say, don't act without planning, correct? In any good process, in any good management, in any good system, first what is done? Careful planning is done, correct? If we act without planning, then we will it's like driving without knowing the destination. What is the goal? Right? It's like then we don't have any guidance. We don't know where we are going, and when you don't know where you're going, then any road will take us there. So Prabhupada mentions a few beautiful points in this purport. Let's go through that. So this is the art and science of doing work. Okay. So one has to act for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. Some siddhir haritoshanam. This is the essence of all work. And this is the great art of doing work. And in the beginning, it requires great expert guidance, right? So it requires expert guidance. So under the guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna, that means the spiritual master, the Diksha Guru, the Shiksha Guru, we have to act carefully. Otherwise, we can cause harm, right? So very, very important. So here Arjuna is acting or will be acting after the end of this Bhagavad Gita under the guidance of Krishna, who is the expert guide here, or the expert doctor, or is the expert director of Arjuna's film. And also, nothing should be performed for sense gratification, but everything should be done for the satisfaction of Krishna. This practice will not only save from the reaction of work, but gradually also elevate one to the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord, which alone can raise one to the kingdom of God, which is the goal of human form of life. So in short, we can dovetail all our propensities, all our activities in the service of Lord, whether it is cooking, whether it is studying, whether it is our job or business or dancing. Krishna consciousness is so dynamic, isn't it? It's not just go to the forest and stand on one leg. That is not bhakti. Bhakti is so dynamic, right? Whatever our interest, like someone may be interested in singing, someone may be interested in dancing, someone may be interested in cooking, someone may be interested in managing or organizing programs, someone may be interested in playing musical instruments, someone may be interested in reaching out to public, someone may be interested in earning wealth, someone may be interested in building relationships, strengthening relationships, someone may be interested in talking more with the kids, developing relationship with the kids, helping them grow. Someone may be interested in teaching, someone may be it's so much variety in bhakti. So in short, whatever we do, yagyartha karmano nyatra, that karma, that actions which is an offering to the Supreme Lord, is not a cause of bondage, rather it is Krishna conscious. It will free one from the cycle of birth and death. I want to also share in this regard one very nice verse, which is a little heavy, right? Should I say? It's from Bhagavatam, a little heavy. Should I read this? What do you say? Okay, you all are very mature, expert devotees, so that's where you are giving your approval by your thumbs up. So let's read this. Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, Text 56. Nehayat karma dharmaya na vairagya kalpate na tirtha pada sevayai jivan api mrito hisa. Yes, Sampada Mataji, want to read this one?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, back to you.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Little heavy instruction by Kapila Muni, who is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, the son of Karda Muni and Devahoti. It does not matter how many breaths we have, because trees live a very long life, right? Some live hundreds of years, some redwood trees in California, they're like 5,000 years or so. Very long life. So that activity which does not elevate us to religious life, bhakti, which does not help to awaken detachment, and which eventually does not lead to the devotional service that person is, scriptures are saying, it's that person may be living or breathing, but no better than other species, because that person is not fulfilling the goal of human form of life. Human form of life is not just to breathe, right? Because animals also breathe. Animals also eat. Human life has a very special and sacred purpose. Therefore, it is very, very rare. So people say, oh, work is worship. How many of you have heard this? Work is worship. Right? Most of us have heard this. But who are they worshipping? Who is the object of worship? That no one questions. In 99% of the situations, the object of worship is their own senses or the extended senses. Correct? My job, my bigger home, or my family, or my kids, or my parents, or I, me, and mine. So what is the center of that worship? It is not Krishna. It is not the Supreme Lord. It is me, the center. So in that case, I'm worshipping my own self. If the center is not God, I'm not worshipping God, I'm worshipping my own self. I think the whole goal of life is to eat, sleep, and be merry. And I think that this work is not worship. So people may concoct different ideas, different proverbs, different things, but if it is not approved by Bhagavad Gita, which we read already in Bhagavatam, then it will not take us to the highest destination. Work hard, party harder, right? These are the common proverbs these days. Eat, sleep, and be merry. Why do you care about tomorrow? Why you care for anything higher? This is not the message of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is teaching us how to make our work worship. Work can be made worship. The activity we do can be made a source of pleasure to Krishna. That will be the worship of the Supreme Lord. If the center of that work is Yagyart Karmano Vishnu, which we are reading in this. Yagyartha, for the sake of Yagya. Yagyartha. So Yagyartha means for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, because one of his names is the Yagyapati. Vasudeva Paramakha. In the Bhagavatam also it's shared in the first canto. He is the ultimate factor of all the yagyas, or beneficiary of all the yagyas. Yagyas are meant to ultimately please Lord Vishnu. So this is, so therefore another name of Lord Vishnu is Yagyapati or Yagyamakha. So, and what do we need? Expert guidance, as we read in the purport. Expert guidance is required. Okay, so let's keep moving to the next verse. So now the topic is changing. Now you may say, well, it is very, very difficult to do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. Everything for the pleasure of Krishna, it's not that everyone can take that path. So let's see what Bhagavad Gita is telling further. Sayagya praja srishtva puru vacha prajapatihi anena vishvidyam Esha yo astav ishtakamadhuk. Yes, Anita Mataji.
Hare Krishna. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yajna sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So here, the next letter in your acronym comes, that is R. And R is the rungs of yoga ladder. A ladder has different steps or rungs. So the point here is that the Vedic system is designed for So anyone and everyone can follow it. It does. If one says, well, I can't do everything for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu, then okay, then you do this, correct? So if not the best, follow this. If not that, okay, this. So it does not exclude anyone. It's all encompassing. Someone could be in the worst of the situations, and we have examples also, like Mrigari. Mrigari was a great hunter. He was half killing animals and enjoying that their suffering. Para dukha sukhi, taking pleasure in the suffering of others. That was Mrigari. He used to half kill deers, rabbits, etc. and enjoy them suffer. And Narad Muni came and said, what are you doing? Do you know the consequences, etc.? First, he was very upset when Narad Muni came and his kind of animals ran away, which he was planning to kill or half kill. So then Narad Muni for those who don't know the following story, Narad Muni gave him an advice. For those who have not heard this story, can you guess what advice Narad Muni gave? For those who don't know the story. Can you want to try? Narad Muni told some suggestion to him. What would be an obvious suggestion? Right? Yes, Renu Mataji.
Yeah, completely kill the creature. Don't make it suffer like that.
Yes. It is not a conventional advice, right? Conventional advice would be, why are you killing them? Do you know the consequences? Why are you killing them? You should worship the Supreme Lord. Stop killing them, right? But Narad Muni told them to completely, to not half kill them, rather to reduce their pain. Why don't you fully kill them? That was like out of the box advice, isn't it? But an expert guide knows how to raise the person from their current situation. Like an expert doctor knows what the patient will follow and what they will not follow. So they will give, like if someone is smoking 20 cigarettes every day, there are people like that, right? 20 cigarettes every day, like completely addicted to it. And then do you expect that someone will give him a good advice and then next day he'll stop immediately? That's not going to happen. So what will an expert well-wisher say, an expert guide say to him or her, and why don't you smoke maybe 5 cigarettes a day? And let few weeks pass, few days pass. And then maybe 2 cigarettes a day, then maybe 2 cigarettes a week, and then maybe completely stop. That sounds feasible plan. But if someone completely says you are fool number one and you don't know anything, your life is waste, that will kind of discourage that person altogether, and nothing positive will come out. So scriptures are there to uplift us, not to discourage us. So the point here is that now Karma Kanda section is being discussed in the following verses, the following 7 verses from text number 10 to text number 7. Text number 10 to 16. The next 7 verses are more about Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda is different from Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga, the Nishkam Karma Yoga is very close to Bhakti Yoga. But Karma Kanda means fruitive activities. Right? Anyone would like to give example of fruitive activities? Anyone?
Like by doing yoga, probably I'll get that benediction, some kind of like money, or my business will grow faster.
Very nice. Very nice. Lakshya, you want to say something?
So what does frutu mean? I forgot what frutu means.
Fruitive?
Yeah.
You want to know or you want to say?
I want to know.
You want to know. Okay. Yeah. So fruitive, fruit. Fruit means result, right? Here the fruit fruitive activities. They're activities which are designed or which are meant to get some fruit. So that means if I do this, I want to get this. Business, you give $10 to a shopkeeper and you want to get something back, right? Let's say there are a lot of fruitive activities. More than 95% of our scriptures, and when I talk about scriptures, I'm talking about the Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, etc., are filled with what? Karma Kanda. So many scriptural injunctions are there which are filled with, because majority of the people just want that, correct? And therefore the Vedvyas, the incarnational Supreme Lord, was not happy and satisfied after writing all the Vedas, Upanishads and Puranas. And then his teacher, the same teacher who told Mrigari to fully kill animals, the same teacher now chastised Vyasadeva. What have you done? You have made a mess. People are already confused and they'll be further confused by somewhere you're saying this is supreme, somewhere you're saying this is to be done, somewhere you're saying that's to be done. He chastised because his level was different. So an expert guide, expert doctor, expert teacher knows, expert parent knows how to uplift their dependents, their child, their student, their patient based on his or her specific situation. It's not one size fits all. No two children, even twins are not same. What to speak of, the same kids in a family. No students of a teacher are same. No students in the class are same. No two brothers are same. Anyone. No two congregation members are same. So it's a great lesson for all of us to firstly take shelter of that expert guidance. And if we are in that position, which most of you are, as a parent, as a teacher, we all are in that position, right? So we also should know how to give that expert guidance based on the specific situations as well. And two, the goal is to gradually uplift that individual, but it has to be done based on the specifics in mind. So that is fruitive work. Now, fruitive work is also defined in two ways. Or karma kanda, there is like short-term karma kanda and long-term karma kanda. Short-term means presently in this life. Oh, I want a beautiful husband. Oh, I want a beautiful son. Oh, I want a beautiful home. I want good wealth. This is just talking about this life. So maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years down the line, maybe 20 years, short term. Then there is kind of long term, but not the eternal long term. Long term means after next life. Oh, if you do this activity, you will get Swarga. Oh, if you do this activity, you will get Somarasa. Oh, if you do this activity, you will go to the Brahma's lok or Indra's lok. So that's little long term. But from the eternal journey of the soul, is it Shreyas or Prayas? To Shreyas, Prayas?
Prayers.
From the eternal journey of the soul, it is also it is Shreyas. How many of you said Shreyas? Karma Kanda, whether short term or long term. How many of you raise your hand if you say Shreyas? How many of you said it's Prayas? Yeah, it's Prayas, right? Arjuna said, Yad Shreyasya nishchitam bruhitan me Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Shreyas means tell me something which will eternally help me. Don't just give me short-term solution or maybe just after this life, which many people focus on going to Swarga, or when someone dies, they say Swargavas ho gaya. No matter how bad that person may be, no matter how much bad things he may or she may have done, they'll never say Narkavas ho gaya. Well, that's another topic. It's fine. We don't want to talk about that topic and this. But the point is that even the goal is not Swargavasa. But why is the Supreme Lord now telling this in this section? Because they are majority. There are a lot of people, and the example is this class, right? This class is open to everyone. There are hundreds and thousands of people in Tampa, in Jackson, in whichever city you are in. But how many of those come for Krishna conscious activities? 0.01% or less, right? Majority of the population is not even interested in karma kanda. Karma kanda at least has some kind of higher principle, that at least which we will kind of talk about now. So let's take this topic. The majority of the population is in mode of completely ignorance or unrestricted enjoyment. There is no picture of someone higher. There's no picture of worshipping someone. There's no question of taking shelter of anyone. So at least if we can, if those people can take like the next step in the yoga ladder rung and at least start with the karma kanda, they'll be one step closer to nishkam karma yoga. So let's see the next step. Devan bhavayat tanena te deva bhavayantu va parasparam bhavayantaha shreya param avapsthaya. Yes, Murali Prabhu, you want to read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So now Krishna is uplifting us or requesting us to at least uplift from that mode of ignorance and understand there are certain devotees in the position of controllers. Not the absolute controllers, but they are Ishvara. Ishvara means controller. They are not Param Ishvara or Parameshwar. Parameshwara means supreme controller, and that is Krishna. But there are some Ishwaras. We are also Ishwaras, right? But we are very, very insignificant Ishwaras. The desire to be Ishvara is actually the reason we are here. How many things we can control? Can I control, oh, it's very sunny outside. It's 90 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit, sorry. I want it to be 70 degrees. Can I change it? No, I can't change it. Hiranyakashipu could change it actually. Narsingh Chaturdashi is coming. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that Indra and Chandra, they were kind of, sweeping his floor. The desire to be Ishvara. But no one can be. He didn't become Parameshwara either. But these demigods have more power of controllership. They can change the weather. They can change the rainfall, etc. But ultimately, we know the famous story of Govardhan Puja. Indra also thought that I am the controller and all these offerings for the Rajavasis, the residents of Vrindavan, are for me. And then Krishna had to come and teach him a lesson. So the demigods are devotees of the Lord, but they also have some proprietorship propensity. So therefore, they're in the category of mixed devotees or Mishrit Bhakta, not considered in the category of pure devotees. But that's a lot better than not being a devotee or being a demoniac person. So here the point is again that we are not independent. We are dependent. We are not the controllers. We are not the bodies. So if some of the yagyas are meant, Prabhupada is mentioning here, to satisfy particular demigods, Indradev, Chandradev, Varunadev, etc. But Lord Vishnu is worshipped in all the yagyas as beneficiary. Very, very important point. He is the Yagyapati, the chief persons of all the yagyas. And there's a very nice statement here. Ahara Shuddhi Sattva Shuddhim Sattva Shuddhau Dhruva Smritihi Smriti Labdhe Sarva Granthinam Vipra Mokshaha. By performance of yagya, one's eatables become sanctified. And by eating sanctified food, one's existence becomes purified. Ahar Shuddhi Sattva Shuddhi. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. Sattva Shuddhi, Dhruva Smriti. And when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. Or Smritir Labdhe Sarva Granthir Vipramokshaha. And all this will help to gradually uplift to Krishna consciousness. So this is the point here, that Karma Kanda, the goal is not to stop there. Like if we are using a ladder to go to a destination or to uplift, the goal is not to stop at the first rung of the ladder or the second rung of the ladder, but most people cannot bypass it, correct? All of you are so blessed and fortunate and great devotees that you must have done a lot of pious bhakti in the previous life. Therefore, Krishna says that out of thousands and thousands, those who come to this path, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha, understanding that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, the goal is to perform bhakti, they are not ordinary people. They are very, very rare. But here the message is for everyone, not just a tiny 0.1% of the population who are already practicing. So Bhagavad Gita is not just for ISKCON devotees. Bhagavad Gita is for the whole world, to help them to come to the stage of pure bhakti, based on whatever their situations may be, to gradually keep uplifting. Whatever, one could be at the stage of demigod worship, one could be at the stage of completely worshipping one's own self, one could be stage of completely agnostic, one could be completely like Ambrigaris, completely absorbed in killing others and animals. So unrestricted sense enjoyment to pure bhakti. This is what Bhagavad Gita is giving here. So let's move on to the next verse. Ishtan bhogan hivo deva dasyante yagya bhavitaha taidattan apradayabhyo yo bhunkte istena eva saha. Yes, Lakshay, Prabhu, you want to read this one?
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods is in return is certainly a thief. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu, so much for nicely reading. So we learned this point that we are not independent. That means we are dependent. We are dependent on the demigods. And we'll see that how the demigods are dependent on the Supreme Lord. Whether it is for the food, it is for the grains, etc. So we can't just say that it is mine, or I bought it from Publix, so it is my food, right? Or I bought it from whatever grocery store, Whole Food or whatever, so it is my food. But where did it come from? There's a whole cycle. It didn't come by chance over there. So if we do not offer that, then we are thief. Right? Because a thief mentality is that they will take something from the other person which does not belong to him or her, and they will not acknowledge that. Right? That's being thief. To take something which does not belong to them, and without even acknowledging that, without even being grateful, that's being thief. So pretty much everything which is given to us is a gift of the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada is making very, very nice points in this purport as well, like every verse. For one who cannot understand what the personality of God is, the sacrifice to demigods is recommended. So in short, for those who have understood that Krishna is to Bhagavan Swayam, that he is the chief amongst all the demigods, then separate demigod worship is not recommended. Very, very simple. But if someone has attachments to demigods, someone has not fully understood this science, no one is discouraging them to stop. Bhakti is not telling to stop things, as I think we discussed multiple times. Bhakti is telling to add Krishna, and naturally this stage has to come organically. That if someone is attached to demigod worship, it is fine in the beginning. And gradually, one will take association of devotees, one will understand, one will read Bhagavad Gita, one will read the Bhaktivedanta purports of Srila Prabhupada, one will come to the true understanding, at least theoretically. And then one will start to follow that. And then it's not that one is upsetting. Some people have this question. Well, if I used to worship this Baba and that Baba, or this Devta and that Devta before coming to Bhakti, now you are asking to only worship Krishna. It's one of the frequently asked questions. Will that demigod not be angry upon me? Right? That was the question which the Vrajavasis also had. Will Indra not be angry upon us if we don't worship him? So the answer is no. Because let's say if someone is worshipping Hanuman without Ram, will Lord Hanuman be happy? Never. Ultimately, all these demigods are servants of the Supreme Personality of God. And we have seen so many times in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Any page we open, any pastime we open, where do the demigods go to seek help? Recently, we are reading the Bali Maharaj section. Before Vaman Dev, when Bali Maharaj took over the position of Indra, where did they all go? In the Samudra Manthan, where did they all go? In any pastime, when Mother Earth was tortured by the demigods, where did they all go? They all went to Vishnu to seek for help for their master. So if someone is worshipping the master, a true servant, they are true servants, they're not selfish servants, will not be angry, rather they will be happy. And also there are some differences between worshipping the demigods and worshipping the Supreme Lord. Worshipping the demigods is like an uncle. The child is crying and the uncle is visiting after a couple of months. The uncle may get a lot of chocolates for the child, but uncle may not even know that this is not good for his teeth, the child's teeth. But the child is asking, the uncle will give, okay, you take it. But the father or mother may sometimes not give it until they know that this person's condition is not good to receive that. So demigods give what we want, provided we pay the price. The famous example is Hiranyakashipu. He did a lot of tapasya and he asked for a lot of boons from Lord Brahma. Ravana did a lot of tapasya and asked a lot of boons from Lord Shiva. And these two names come very often in our scriptures, Brahma, Shiva, and they are known for giving boons, Ashutosha, Brahmaji giving boons. But we know that those boons are not eternal. Hiranyakashipu, what was his destination? Bhasmasur, what was his destination? And even they told when Hiranyakashipu asked that I want a boon to be immortal, Brahmaji said, well, I'm not immortal. How can I give you the boon to be immortal? So whether one is qualified or disqualified, the demigods will give what if the price is there. If the price is paid, they'll give it. It's like going to a store and say, I want rat poison. Okay, rat poison is $20. Do you have $20? Yes, I have $20. Okay, given. And then, but if on the other hand, so this is compared to demigod situation. On the other hand, Krishna may not give that sometimes because he knows, will I use the rat poison for a good cause or a bad cause? Someone may use rat poison to kill their own self, right? So it is certainly not good. So Krishna will not give. Krishna gives what is best for us, what we need, not what we want. That's a big difference in giving of demigods and giving of the Supreme Lord. So the point is that if someone is worshipping the Supreme Lord, one need not, because there are on a practical level also, there are like millions of 33 crores actually. That's how much, 330 million. That's a lot. We don't know 33 names, but to speak of worshipping 330 million demigods. There's a demigod in charge for the eyebrow. There's a demigod in charge for the digestion. There's a demigod in charge for the different, every situation. There's every thing. There's a person, demigod in charge. Water, air, light, sun, etc. Now the point is we discuss the story of Mrigari. Now in the scriptures, there is thing about meat eating is recommended. The meat eaters are recommended to worship Kali and worship the ghastly form of material nature before the goddess, and sacrifice the animal is recommended. So the point here is to at least have it regulated. If someone is having unregulated meat eating, let's say, then the point is, okay, you want to eat meat, then there are certain directions in the scriptures. That means you have to firstly cut off the animal, which is also in the lower species, not like cow, let's say a goat or etc. So in front of Kali, and you have to chant certain mantras. There has to be certain days and certain rituals and processes to make the process so complex that one is discouraged, and one has to chant in the ear of that goat, okay, in this life I am cutting you with my hands. In next life I give you the permission that we will turn the tables. You will be at my spot, I'll be at your spot, and you will be cutting me. Then a sensible person will understand, what am I doing? I'm offering this, but what am I building for my own self? I'll be chopped off like this in the next life. So these codes are not to encourage meat eating, but to gradually discourage meat eating. But it's a step-by-step process. For someone who is hardcore into this will not understand. Therefore, we have to all be equipped with this right knowledge and share as per the right situations. These are like the different steps. So we have to see who our audience is and what step they are. And gradually help to keep moving forward. Okay. One very nice point here in this. If we forget the purpose of human life, and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in the material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves and will be punished by the laws of material nature. And what is the best form of yagya? Sankirtana yagya, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accepts the principles of bhakti. It's very simple. This is the essence of all the yagyas. Okay, we'll keep moving. Very important verse. Yagya shashtashina santo muchyante sarva kilbishai bhunjate te tava gam papa ye pachanti atmakaranat. Would someone like to read this one? Yes, Abhishek. Yeah, Prakriti, Mataji, please.
The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. Hare
So, very, very nice words. This is one of the 50 important verses as well. That food must be offered to the Lord as an offering, because ultimately it comes from Him only. Other, if we don't do so, it's thief mentality, which is sinful mentality. So, and this is the easiest, and ISKCON is also called kitchen religion, because so many devotees come to Krishna consciousness through the medium of prasad, through the medium of food, and therefore it is an integral. Typically, when we say food prasad, the before coming to Krishna consciousness or ISKCON, the mentality may be some pieces of dry, bundi, and a little bit of one laddu or something. But here we are talking about the whole lifestyle change. We're talking about whatever we eat must be offered. So the food in the mode of goodness, which is recommended by the scriptures, must be offered to the Supreme Lord, and then it becomes free from sins. From matter to it becomes spirit. From matter it becomes spirit. From material thing it becomes a spiritual thing, because it is no more matter. Matter means it will just help the body, the matter. If we eat food, it will only nourish the body. But if we eat transcendental Krishna Prasad, it will not only nourish the body, it will also nourish the spirit, soul, along with the nourishing the body. It will purify our senses. It will purify our mind and ego. It will purify our impure consciousness. So this is the point here, that, and let's read maybe a few lines from the purport. Who prepare food for self or sense gratification are not only thieves but also the eaters of the all kinds of sins. How can a person be happy if he is both a thief and sinful? So it's all linked. We have to purify our food. Ahar Shuddhi, Sattva Shuddhi. So food is the core. Everyone needs to eat food. But what kind of food we should eat is recommended in Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita it talks about everything, not just action. It talks about food. It talks about principles of life, anger, bhakti, how to be good in every aspect. It's like a manual of life. And in the life manual, food has to be an essential ingredient, right? Because everyone needs food. It's one of the main kind of fuel for the body. But prasadam, the food offered to Krishna, becomes a joy for the whole world. And we see that in ISKCON distribute thousands and millions of food plates. In the corona pandemic situation, they're distributing food or Krishna prasadam all over in the country, in India and multiple other countries. ISKCON is distributing thousands and thousands and lakhs of prasadam plates every day to not just quench the hunger of the belly, but to also quench the hunger of the spirit soul, because that's a bigger hunger, to feed the spirit soul with the mercy of the Lord. Otherwise, just distributing food, some people distribute meat also. It is binding themselves and the recipient, the donor and the recipient, more in the cycle of karma. So just doing good. Therefore, action without proper consciousness and planning can be a cause of havoc also. It's like executing without planning or executing in ignorance will lead to suffering for both the doer and the recipient, right? That's what majority of the people they do. Oh, raise, distribute meat, distribute eggs, etc. And thinking that this is a very charitable act, thinking it's a very noble act, but rather it is causing more bondage to both, isn't it? So we have to be very, very careful. And proper consciousness, the art and the science of doing work, the art and science of food is shared here. It is very, very important, and it is simple also. So there's a process if you want to understand how to offer food to the Supreme Lord Krishna. But in the beginning, one can put some tulsi leaves on the food we prepare in the right mode of goodness and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times in the beginning. And later, as one keeps progressing, one can, from the senior devotees, try to understand the more detailed process and few mantras. So, but the point is that we should offer our food to Krishna. Otherwise, it is just sin. Annad bhavati bhutani parjanyad anna sambhava yagyad bhavanti parjanyo yagya karma samudbhavaha. Okay. Yes, Abhishek Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagna, sacrifice, and yagna is born of prescribed duties. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. There's a very nice line in the purport. When Lord Krishna is worshipped, the demigods who are different limbs of the Lord are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods. I'm just repeating it as it is here. For this reason, the devotees who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Krishna, then eat, a process which nourishes the body spiritually. So the point here is, again, if we water the roots of the tree, then all the parts are watered. We cannot individually water 30 million demigods. Neither it is recommended. Like watering is, can we water individual leaves? Right? It's not the good process. It's not the recommended process. But when we water the root, immediately all the parts of the tree are naturally watered. One more nice point. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats food offered to Krishna can counteract all the reactions from past material infections which are impediments for the progress of self-realization. In short, eating prasad is not an act of just filling the belly. It's a very spiritual act. That's what the Mahaprasadam prayers which we sing in ISKCON temples and at homes is very, very important. It is basically that the senses are a network of ignorance, but this is Krishna Saprasad Anna Dilo Bhai, say Anna Amrita Pao. This is very, very like a nectar to purify our material entanglements, to help us to build finer tissues and make spiritual progress. So we'll do 15 and 16 also, a little quickly. So Karma Brahmo Bhavam Vidhi Brahmakshara Samudbhavam Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yagya Pratishtitam. Someone wants to read this one? Yes, Ravi Prabhu, yeah.
Hare Krishna. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. Hari Bol.
Okay. So this is the cycle of sacrifice actually. And I have a slide to share here. So if we combine the last two verses, 14 and 15, so we understand that living beings subsist on food grains. Let me share this. Living beings depend on food grains or anna. Where does the grains come from? The grains come from the raining clouds, Parjanya. Where do the clouds come from? They come from yagya or sacrifice. And so sacrifice is from the prescribed actions lead to sacrifice, or they recommend the karma. And where do the prescribed actions come from? They are mentioned in the Vedas or Brahma, not the Brahma ji. And where do the Vedas come from? Vedas come from the breathing of the Supreme Lord Krishna or Akshara here mentioned here. So this is the cycle of interdependence. So if one follows this, and then one will gradually understand, and we have already discussed that living beings are, what is in text number 13, that the food has to be offered, the grains have to be offered to the Supreme Lord. It's kind of the cycle of sacrifice is shared here. Because we're ultimately, everyone is dependent on the Supreme Lord Krishna. One last verse, I'll read here and then we'll take 16. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvarta yathi nanuvartyai tiha yaha aghayor indriyar ramo mogham partha sajivati. Yes, Vedi?
Hare Krishna. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. So, if we do not follow this process, the cycle of sacrifice, then life is futile. If we do not follow the path of bhakti, then the life is futile in short. So, one devotee kind of shared a very nice understanding of this principle, then why is karma kanda being encouraged here? Karma kanda is sent here, multiple reasons. Number one, because majority of the population cannot follow the direct path. So it's the medicine has to be given step by step. And the ultimate, these are the different rungs, like step by step, we climb the ladder. So what will happen, one starts to follow the karma kanda process. The point is that person will understand that there is something higher. Okay, I have to follow the brahmanas. Okay, even if it is to get a son or get a wife or get a starting of a business. There's a lot of karma kanda yagyas, but at least they will develop some association of devotee. The devotee, like Narad Muni, even though he told Migari to kill animals, but by that association, that ultimately that Migari became a pure Vaishnava. So the association of priests will happen. The devotee will talk about, and then he will understand. Well, I'm asking for a son, or I'm asking for some wealth, but I'm observing that the person will become more rational, more introspective. That oh, my neighbor is dying, oh, my relatives are dying, and they didn't take their wealth with them. Then the person will think that I should maybe think of something better. Where did they go? Oh, are they going somewhere? And is the soul, what happens to the body when it is dead? So these introspective questions will come. And then that person will understand, oh, there is a next life also. Oh, maybe now then I should think about next life also. Like everyone plans for future. Everyone plans to do something in the future. Okay, for my child's education or for my child's marriage. They everyone plans. So now they'll plan, oh, I should plan for my next life also. Where will be I next life? Then they'll say, okay, is there some process for next life? Oh, then the priest will say, oh yeah, there's a process. In next life, you can go to the upper planets by doing so and so. Then some people will think of long-term karma kanda. From short-term, they'll come to long-term karma kanda. Oh, okay, you do this yagya, you get a swarga. You do this yagya, you go to the upper planets, etc. And then they'll understand, well, the association is increasing. So what's happening? The dependence, the relationship with the guru, sadhu, shastra is building up more in this whole journey. It's like a journey. As one is in the first step, one is getting prepared for the second step. As one is on the second step, one is getting prepared. Like a class 2 student is getting prepared for the third class. And like that, a third class goes to the fourth class. And like that, the grade keeps increasing. So they're building this in the background by good association, by being more introspective. They'll understand, they'll read, oh, Bhagavatam says that Indra is always fickle. Indra is always, worried about his throne. That means Indra is also dependent on someone. Then why, like, even Hiranyakashipu was, came and he made Indra as his maid servant. So that means there is something even more powerful. Oh, dear Brahmana, can you please guide me? What is that thing? Where does Indra go when he's in distress? Oh, Indra goes through his master, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. And then the stories like Govardhan Puja, etc. So basically, how it started from Karma Kanda, and then ultimately, oh, if he is the supreme, then why don't I start? Okay, that's the goal. You have come to the right conclusion. Okay, let's begin the process of Bhakti Yoga. So this is what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. And if one is following that, then there is a very nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which says, because we are not here speculating things, we are very, very clear discussing Shastra. Devarshibhotat paniram pitrinam naking karonayam rini charajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihritya kartam. Who hasn't read wants to read?
I can report. Artificial devotees, Namapanam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. O King, one who has given up all material duties and has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, who offers shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even one's forefathers who have passed away, since all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. One who has surrendered to the Lord's service has no need to serve such persons, separately. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. It's a very, very nice verse that we all have debts to forefathers, other living beings, friends, demigods, sages, etc. But Gato Mukundam Parihritya Kartam. One was taken shelter of Krishna, Mukunda, Murari, Keshava, Madhava, Gopala. Then it's like watering the root. We don't even know the names of our forefathers, right? Anyone knows names of all their forefathers? Great grandfather, his father, his father. Maybe knowing 2-3 generations at max, right? But every one of them had a father, correct? So it's impossible and impractical. We don't even have 330 million days or hours. I don't know. Life is so fickle. But it's like the food. The other example is given. Then the food, when it goes to the belly, all the body parts are nourished. We don't feed the food to the ear, directly in the head, to the feet. There's a nice story in this regard in Panchatantra. One time, all the body parts, eyes, nose, ears, teeth, they all said, well, we are working so hard, but this belly is just busy eating. Everything goes here. We'll go on hunger strike. We'll go on non-cooperation movement. So the leg said, we will not go to get the food. The hand said, we will not even lift the food to get to the mouth. The teeth said, we will not even chew the food. Let's teach belly a lesson. The eyes said, we'll keep the eyes shut. We'll not even open, see the food. The ears said, we'll not even hear about food. So everyone on non-cooperation movement. A day passed. Next day, everyone started to feel weak. The hands don't have energy. The eyes don't have energy, and the body is so weak. And then they all had a round table conference. What to do? We are all feeling so weak. And then a great sage came and said, if you water the root, you all will be nourished. And then they realized like the belly is like the root. So Krishna is not a selfish person who just keeps everything to himself. He ultimately he gives everything in return back for his children, right? So then they realized their mistake, and then they started to feed the belly. And as a result, they all got nourished. The hands got nourished, legs got nourished, the eyes got nourished, head, everything. That's the point of serving or watering the roots. So 10 to 16 verse we kind of talk about today, 9 to 16. 10 to 16 talk about the Karma Kanda section. So the goal is not to get entangled in the Karma Kanda, but since we're going step by step, it's our duty to understand the topic. Why is it there? For whom it's there? Because our goal is not just to read and understand, but to try to share also Bhagavad Gita with others, our friends, family. And they may be at different levels. All of you are already kind of practicing the path of Bhakti Yoga. But we need to understand how to give this message, in what circumstances and in what audience. But the ultimate goal is to help us to come to the platform of Bhakti Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, complete shelter of Lord Krishna. But that's not, that's not to kind of discourage anyone from. No. It's like, oh, if you can't do this, just forget about it, or just get away from here. That's not Krishna consciousness. That's not Prabhupada's movement. In 12th chapter also this is shared. If you can't do this, then do that. If you can't do this, then do that. Right? If a doctor comes and says, the patient, your situation is so bad, there is, you are, maybe in the material world, the situation may be there, but in the internal journey of the soul, there is no one is eternally, sinful. every sinner had a past, every saint had a past, every sinner has a future. That's what Narad Muni is teaching us through the example of Mrigari, being an expert guide. Therefore, to understand the art and the science of work, we need expert guide, we need expert manual, Bhagavad Gita, an expert guide like Krishna with a spiritual master. So I'll pause here and take some thoughts, questions, reflections, any comments, if anyone wants to share. Yes. Yeah, please unmute. Some of your hands are raised. I don't know if it's from the reading already raised or you want to say something. Yes, Vedi, please tell.
Why do we have debt to our forefathers?
Why do we have debt to our forefathers? Because they were instrumental in bringing us in this world. If our parents would not have been there, we would not have been born, right? And if their parents would not have been there, they made a lot of sacrifices, right? The sacrifice of a mother, who can ever repay the debt? 9 months carrying us in the womb, going through so many difficult situations. The pain of the birth is the most severe pain. The science has said that. And so therefore we have debt to our parents, forefathers, etc. because they have done a lot of sacrifices for us. They have spent sleepless nights for us. They have spent, they go hungry to feed us. So we can't, therefore there is debt. Giving values, giving us so many things.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your thoughtful question. Anyone else has any other thoughts or questions?
In text 40 is written that if we offer Lord,
I'm so sorry, I'm not able to hear you properly. Do you mind typing in your question in the chat box? Yeah, I'm not able to. Anyone else able to understand? Yeah, sorry, there's some network or connection issues. Can you please, Parna Mataji, can you please type in your question? Anyone else wants to share in the meantime? Any question, comment, or thoughts?
So, Proj, I was thinking that one thing I do actually, especially, most of the numbers in a day is eating. Probably 3 full meal, some snacks here there. So if we remember Krishna at least 5-6 times this way, that also keeps us remembering him. So that's a good way to take prasadam, not only offering the prasadam, but also keeps us remembering Krishna.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a very good point. Therefore, Prabhupada has given this nice system that before prasadam, we remember, and it's not just an act of eating. It is a spiritual act of honoring Krishna. We don't eat prasadam. We say we honor prasadam. We don't enjoy prasadam. We honor prasadam. And it's joyful. It's not like we have to kind of meditate like a yogi and eat. It's joyful experience. That's what we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But absolutely correct. It's a way to remember Krishna. There is no difference between the remnants of the Lord and the Supreme Lord. So very nice point. Any other thoughts or comments anyone has?
Prabhuji, I was just wondering, we just discussed the starting from Kanda and leading up to the Mukunda, final liberation. But still there are so many people, they spend all the life in just doing the ritualistic karma kandi stuff, and they still, they don't move up. So is it a lack of association or lack of guru or guidance? Where do they lack?
Everything. Multiple factors are there. Lack of good association is there, for sure. Lack of sincerity on the part of the practitioner is also there. Lack of introspection is also there. And we are also to blame. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, why is there so much, so many things, why is there dearth of Vaishnavas? Because Vaishnavas are not preaching enough. So devotees are also to be blamed for that situation. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada came to share this message. Our goal is not just to keep it to ourselves. Whatever we know, it doesn't mean that, oh, I can't give a Bhagavatam class. That's fine. No one is asking us to give Bhagavatam class. Whatever we have been given, right? Like you distributed Ramayana yesterday, you were mentioning. That's a great, act to spread bhakti. So sharing books, sharing prasadam, sharing kirtan, whatever we have been given, we should distribute, because as you said, many people are struggling, suffering, and they are caught up in the wrong association, in the wrong guru, in the wrong environment, just life of ignorance, life of improper guidance. Therefore, it's kind of a two-way street. We have to do our part, right? We cannot change the whole world, but at least we can if not the sun, Prabhupada transformed the whole world, thousands and thousands of people, thousands of centers and places. We certainly can't do that, but at least we can be a lamp. A lamp lightens up one's own self and the room around. The sun lightens the whole world. We can't maybe do that, but at least we can lighten up a room or a handful of people. We can be a cause of positive difference in their lives. And then, that will spread, that will share with others. So it's a multitude of factors.
Thank you, Parvuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. One devotee is asking, should we limit the amount of prasadam we take? Well, it's a general question. Yes, Prakriti Mataji, or yeah, Aparna Mataji, can you type your question? I request you to kindly type in your question. The point is, should we limit our prasadam we take? There is now, this question can be answered differently and in different ways, and Prabhupada also answered differently in different settings. Very simple. Yeah, please type your question. I'm having a hard time to hear you. Okay. I'll answer Sabrina Mataji's question. So in the beginning, Prabhupada mentioned, eat like a duck. Eat like a duck means fill your belly till here. So, because to develop that higher taste, if someone is totally absorbed in a reckless life, unregulated life, do whatever and drugs and meat eating, etc., they need to get a positive. They can eat a lot of samosas, gulab jamuns, and puris, and whatever they like. They can eat prasadam. That's much better than eating flesh or not prasadam. But as one slowly advances, as one understands that it is not to enjoy prasad, it is not to, we have to serve prasadam. And plus our bodies are different. If every day one is eating samosas and samosa, one will become a samosa, right? So we have to be cognizant of that fact also, that prasadam is transcendental, but my body is not transcendental. So I have to carefully see. Once in a while is okay, but if every day one is eating lot 2-5 gulab jamuns, then body will react to it. Because we are not at that level of completely, that body is not spiritual, body is material. So we have to be conscious of our situations as well. because we have to keep the body fit and healthy for service, not be lazy and diseased. So, and then in the later stages, Prabhupada mentioned that as the devotees advanced, then now you should alpahari. We should be controlling our eating, sleeping. We should 6.17 yuktahara viharasya Bhagavad Gita mentions that we should control our eating. It's not that I can eat, even if it is prasadam, I can eat as many items I want. But for newcomers, we encourage eat whatever you want as much. See, the point is, if someone is distributing, they should distribute with a very big heart. That's the point. They should not think, oh, this person should eat less. Right? This is our Vaishnavism. They should distribute as if they should eat like buckets of prasadam. That's Prabhupada's mood. But what someone is honoring, they should be cognizant that they should feel that others should get first, and then I'll honor. And I'll honor to the right degree and to the right quantity. It's not that, okay, he's offering, so I'll keep eating and eating and eating and forget about anything else. Once in a while, it's okay. Devotees also have this gulab jamun party and competitions and stuff, but it's not like every day. It's like more like spiritual fun, because one devotee also said that ultimately, in devotional life, we kind of regulate quite a few things, our what we see, what we hear, so the whole pressure comes on the belly. So, and now that you're also saying to regulate that also, we are not doing that. We'll have fun. Okay, once in a while, okay, eat whatever you want. Therefore, when you go to Mayapur, go to special festivals, okay, eat to your heart's content. But we have to it should not be daily. But in the beginning, okay, to develop that higher taste, it's fine. So there are a lot of factors, and based on situations, one has to see for oneself. Okay, I think that was it. So we will. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so we'll pause here, and for those who are reading along, please read the next 10 verses or so. We'll try to cover them. And I wanted to ask a question. Next Saturday, can we do in the morning around 9 a.m. Eastern? Will that be okay for most of you? Instead of evening, like morning 9 a.m.? I don't see like yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Ravi Prabhu, does that work for you?
Yes, Prabhuji. 9 a.m. Eastern will work.
Okay, so we'll do that because we have some engagements in the evening. So next Saturday is just one outlier. Next week or the following week, we'll be back to the normal schedule. Okay, so we'll pause here. Shri Bhagavad Gita Upanishad ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank